one of the things that Ghana did a couple of years ago was the Year of Return. India always promote their art through music.
Sure.
Once you watch India's movie, you know a lot of creative stuff in it. Nigeria, when you watch Nigerian movies, you know they are promoting a lot of work with the Sankofa, and even just a couple of months, the Office of the Diaspora Affairs, Ghana versus Nigerian Jollof competition. Creative sector is actually the big sector.
I'm saying the symbol, a lot of people don't know the meaning of the symbol.
It may be realistic, especially when it comes to young people, especially on the African continent. Nobody's coming here to develop it for you. What we need to do as African countries to enhance our youth and the culture, the gig economy. Sometimes when you speak with the diaspora, they really want to come home, but the challenges is that it's the system that wants to receive them ready to receive. By the next 2030, young people's population will be around 2.5 billion global math. By 2030, you have 2.5 billion young people. Be unemployment, around 2.1 billion that are yet to be unemployed. You want to know, a particular example is Odemaya. He have already proven it that with Dangote. And first thing he says that the youth are so in a rush that they are not ready to build a long term. Nobody started. You don't build a house in a day.
Sure.
So why you want to build everything in a day? It takes years. It takes decades. You see the Dangote refinery that he's talking. It took him over 20 years.
I welcome you once again on S.K.M Media Survey. Today, my guest here is Ambassador Mr. Carlos Boachi, the UN coach, and he is also the special advisor for art and diplomacy. Mr. Carlos, you are welcome once again on SKM Media 7.
Thank you very much. I'm actually the Executive Director for Africa Youth Forum International, and the Special Advisor to the Global Co-Chair on Art and Culture.
Okay. Yes. So I have some few questions that I want to ask and to our viewers, those who are watching. When we talk of, let's say, who is a Special Advisor for Art and Culture Diplomacy, how will you explain to those who are watching you right now?
So the special advisor is somebody who advises a head of mission or a country delegate. But in my case, I'm the special advisor to the global co-chair of the UN Art and Culture. The UN Art and Culture was formed by the United Nations in Kenya during the UN COC's meeting, which brought a lot of COCs across the continent and the world together to discuss issues relating to art related. So we work with member states, artists from global south, global north, across the world to address their specific concern within the United Nations system.
Okay. Is it only the United Nations? Or?
Yes, the Art and Envoy Office, which is the UN Art and Culture Working Group. So we work directly with the United Nations to address the artist issues within the UN system.
Okay, so how does that benefit Ghana as a whole?
So, Ghana is a member state of the United Nations. So every country is arriving, and promoting your culture puts you at the top. And I think one of the things that Ghana did a couple of years ago was the Year of Return. And they were able to sell it. Ghana was able to raise over $1 billion because of the art aspect of it. But most artists feel like they are always left behind because most of the creative economy is yet to be tapped. So as an Art Envoy Office, what we are trying to do is to see how we can get a lot of artist representations within this space and understand their major concerns, and then liaise with the United Nations to see how their voice can also be heard when it comes to decision making.
Wow. So my next question is, how do the art and culture influence diplomatic relations between two countries, let's say UN, Ghana, and other countries? How do the influence, how does it work?
So the UN is a multilateral institution, it's not a country. The member states are the countries. Yes. So in terms of art, every country has their own culture, they have their own belief system. So how you promote your art actually can drive a lot of stuff. India always promote their art through music.
Sure.
There's once you watch India's movie, there's a lot of creative stuff in it, as well as Nigeria. When you watch Nigerian movies, they are promoting their culture, their heritage, and also. So Ghana can also do same thing, right? By promoting their culture also, especially the Ashanti Kingdom, have been able to do a lot of work with the Sankofa, and even just a couple of months, the Office of the Diaspora Affairs actually endorsed an initiative that was the Sankofa Square in Canada, which was a big initiative and acknowledging the cultural heritage of Ghana. So I think early this month, last week, we ended the FASTAG initiative. This was an initiative in partnership with the African Union to see how we can promote Pan-African culture among African countries. And we brought a lot of delegates from the from South Africa, from Kenya, from Nigeria. We even had Ghana versus Nigerian jollof competition, South Africa versus Zimbabwe kebab competition. And it was an amazing thing to see a lot of artists, creative economy from Nigeria within Ghana promoting their heritage and their country as well.
Okay, before we proceed, when you look at Ghana, our culture, our system, like the movie you mentioned, you made mention of Nigeria and Ghana. Do you think Ghana is doing well when it comes to, let's take Ashanti Kingdom for instance, or when it comes to the creative arts sector? Do you think Ghana is performing or is doing well when it comes to, to sell our culture to the world? Do you think Ghana is doing well?
Well, Ghana is trying. Everybody is trying. And yes, I think when you travel, especially in the Caribbean, you notice that a lot of similarities with our culture, right? Because most of our people of African descent were from Ghana. And it was surprisingly, I think early last year, the former vice president of Costa Rica invited me to speak to some of their youth over there. And it will shock to you, some of the symbols that they were wearing, the jewelries, were African jewelries, particularly Ghana, the Sankofa, and then the Jinyami symbols and other stuff. And that's where you realize that your culture is actually being spread across. So it is up to us as a nation to actually develop a strategy to see how we can tap into that aspect of our culture, which have already been exposed to the West, and promote it to drive tourist investment in the country. And as I said, the year of return have already brought in billions of dollars. So we promoting that can generate a vast majority of tourist investment and even strategy to help our government raise funds and other stuff. So the creative sector is actually the big sector where if the country really prioritizes it the most, it can really generate a lot of money.
So what new things should the government, what else should they add to it to make it, huge or massive for those who are yet, come back, like the way you made mention of the year of return? What else should Ghana do to, make it more popular for others to, know? Because what you are saying, the symbol, a lot of people don't know the meaning of the symbol, and nowadays the youth, it seems you don't take our culture and our tradition, we don't take those things serious. What message do you have for those people?
Let me be realistic, especially when it comes to young people, especially on the African continent. Nobody's coming here to develop it for you.
Wow.
So you need to understand, where can I add value to my country so that I can be highly economically productive? And one of the initiatives that, especially early this year, we were working with the African Union to actually see how we can address some of these challenges young people face. Last month, during the International Youth Day, we through our organization, Africa Youth Forum International, we hosted a high-level dialogue where we invited the former president of Ethiopia, the former president of Prime Minister of Tunisia, the African Union Commissioner for Health and Humanitarian, the African Union AGA Secretariat, Ambassador Salah, and they all gave a little bit insight into what we need to do as African countries to enhance our youth. And the culture, the gig economy is the big thing, the blue economy, which is the ocean. How do we actually develop our ocean to attract a lot of foreigners? If we go to Dubai, they don't really have anything, but they actually focus much more on their tourism sector, right? And they generate billions and trillions of dollars from it. They don't need to even rely on their oil because they have promoted a lot of, and a lot of companies are moving to Dubai. Why? Because they have built an enabling environment to host it. sometimes when you speak with a diaspora, they really want to come home, but the challenges is that it's the system that wants to receive them ready to receive them. And these are some of the things that when you speak with some of the diasporans, they say when they come here, they see us, we see them as ATM machines, you know.
Cash out money from them.
And it's a little bit concerning, but if we actually position ourselves in an economy whereby we value the people that are coming in, we give them home and other stuff. And I think very soon, I'm thinking last year the presidency actually gave citizenship to a lot of Africans and diasporans, and you realize the number of people, over 500 people, came to Ghana all because of citizenship. Why? Because through culture.
True.
We promoted our culture, they saw the value in our culture, and they identified themselves with the culture, especially the Caribbeans, the Latin Americans. They really want to come home, but is our system ready to host them? So these are some of the dialogue that is going on between us and the government to actually see how we can actually build an enabling environment for these young people, especially connecting the diasporans and the motherland to see how we can actually add economic value. So as a young person, what you need to do is listen. What exactly is happening? Because let me give you statistics. By the next 2030, young people's population will be around 2.5 billion globally, right? And yet, unemployment will skyrocket because why? Because the IMF and the World Bank have already given their job projection. By the 2050, 400 million jobs is expected to be created. So look, let's do the math. By 2030, you have 2.5 billion young people, yet your job capacity creation is 400 million. So how many people are going to be on unemployment? Around 2.1 billion that are yet to be unemployed, despite the hype for AI, the hype for whatever. So it's up to you to see, okay, I don't need to just after school, I'm seeking for a job, but after school, I have the necessary skill set to get to create jobs for my fellows or even build my stability without not necessarily relying on the government. And also in Africa, when you come here, a lot of youth are more centered on government, I need job from government. When you go to the US, it's not like that. US youth are more entrepreneurs. They're taking advantage of their technology, their systems, and their support system in order to actually promote and build their businesses. As early as 8-year-old, started even running their businesses. But here you have to wait till 30-something years before you start thinking of even starting a business. No, we need to restructure our education system in order to build an environment which is business friendly. That in that case, because last couple of days ago, I was having this important conversation during the National Youth Conference, which I was having a very interactive discussion with the Chief of Staff. And one of the things we said that we need to make sure that young people have the best business environment. A particular example was that why is that an average young person pays the same amount of money? Right. So if you have an idea, let's say today you're starting a logistic company, your business as a youth, the money maybe somebody like Despite will pay in order to get that business registered. It's the same as you, the youth, paying to get it registered. Why are we doing that thing? I understand that there are certain laws that when you're a youth, you are kind of tax exempted, but it's how practical is it? Right? How many young people even know all these things? So it's about time that we leverage on our economy, we leverage on what we already have, and then we push it. If you listen to the Goldman Sachs report, Ghana will be part of the 30th biggest economy in the world by the year 2070. African countries are actually growing, but is it within a certain group of people, or are we dragging the average people on the street along? So these are dialogue we need to have down with our leaders and the youth to see how we can tap into the economy and other stuff. Now everybody is talking about youth, green economy, and other stuff. What are the young people doing in order to tap into those sectors and then build themselves? So all these things are things I think when the young people pay attention and not being much more focused on political space, but actually listening to the developed leaders, they're going to understand and have the opportunity right on their doorstep.
Wow, that's very great, message you have for us. Now, my third question is, can we give... Okay, let me skip this question because of what you have said. And I want to base on this particular question. What role do social media and platforms like YouTube plays in this modern culture diplomacy? What role does YouTube and social media play?
You want the role? A particular example is Odemaya. He have already proven it that with social media, you can't even get diplomatic passport if you work so hard. Right? It didn't come easy. It didn't come. I remember having a dialogue with him and seeing how far he have come. And it's everything start from one. Right? Rome is not built in a day. It takes years. And I remember one of the conversations when I had the opportunity with Ecobank to meet Aliko Dangote. And first thing he says that the youth are so in a rush that they are not ready to build a long term. Nobody started. You don't build a house in a day.
Sure.
So why you want to build everything in a day? It takes years. It takes decades. You see the Aliko Dangote refinery that he's talking, it took him over 20 years to put it together.
And the youth are not ready to wait for that 20 years.
Imagine him having all the resources at his disposal. It took him a couple of years, struggles upon struggles. But yet here he is, everybody is celebrating him, the richest man and other stuff. It takes years. An average company, 95% of startup fails within a period of 5 years. So if you are building your startup, you should think about 10 years, 20 years plan. Because a typical surviving business takes an average of 10 years in order for it to even make sustainability. So are you ready to play that long term? Facebook was not making money, right? Over 10 years,
sure.
They were not even making a single. They reached break even, which is neither profit, neither loss. But they were not making any revenue. Why? Because their business model wasn't to make money instant. They understood that first build a system, a customer-based system. And then later on, you leverage on the customer-based system that you have built over the years to make money. So they understood that for a very long time. So for me, I believe like taking the long-term goal and the long-term strategy, you will get there. But it starts, just start. I see a lot of talks going on. I want to do this. Just start. Once you start, things nobody have figured it out. All the big people you see them and you inspire, you think all of them have figured it out? Nobody. I can tell you from experience, nobody have figured it out. They are one way or the other chasing something or building something. So you got to know, okay, in my small capacity, what can I do in order to build or be at the upper end? And for me, I'll always say networking is the key. Once you network, it gets you into bigger rooms. So focus on building the right content, the right knowledge, because one of the things I see young people also making is they want to go into something to make money, but they forget they should get knowledge first. Because even if you give you $1 billion today and you don't have knowledge to manage that $1 billion, you're going to lose it. 90% of gamblers who make $1 million in the States lose it in 5 years. Why? Because they don't have the knowledge. So for me, I always advocate, if it's about tourism, if it's about investment, if it's about real estate, first master the principles of knowledge first. And then once you master those knowledge, you can actually build it from there.
Now, what do you think our chiefs, our leaders, the elders in the community have to do to, help the youth? Because what you are telling us today, a lot of some of our chiefs don't have knowledge about this. Because we go to a lot of places, we see a lot of improvement around the community, but sometimes when you approach the chiefs and the elders, it seems like, who are you? You are too small to tell me this or advise me. What do you think the system, like the way you made mention earlier on, what do you think they have to do? Because recently I saw a post from Ashanti Regional Minister telling the youth to create content on the local, So what do you think they have to do to, change the mind of both the youth and some of our elders?
Let me give you a quote that was given to me. Power is not given, it's taken.
Wow.
So if you want somebody to come and help you, nobody's coming to help you. You gotta make it.
Say it again. Say it
if
again.
You think somebody's coming to help you.
No, you say power is what? Taking.
Power is taken, it's not given.
Wow.
So nobody's going to give it to you. You need to fight for it. Look at the people that changed the continent. Do you think Kwame Nkrumah independent was just giving it to him because you are Kwame Nkrumah, so we should give you independent? No, he fought for it. You think Nelson Mandela sat in a day and then told the British that, hey, we want independent, and then they gave it to him? No, he fought for it. Nobody have ever changed the world without not fighting for it. So power, it's not given, it's taken. So but you got to position yourself in a room whereby everybody gets along. Because one of the things I've noticed is that everybody is doing things. When you meet young people, they are doing a great stuff. But the thing is, they are not united as a collective. But once you come together, you'll be able to move mountains. You'll be able to move stuff. Imagine, for instance, if you go to the chief, he doesn't. If your friend goes, he doesn't. But you mobilize all the youth and you do a demonstration against the chief in that community, he will start taking you guys serious, right? But because you have not done it, he won't. So it's about time that young people understand the role we live in. It's not going to be easy. It won't be easy. It was never easy. They fought for it in order to be where they are. So you got to fight for it. So for me, my message is clear. Either you fight and you get it, or you just remain idle and then let those who want to fight to get it. And never envy anybody. You got to determine your own path. Nobody's path is the same as yours. You need to find what you're good at and start focusing on it. You need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And the good thing is about collaboration is once I know my strength, I'll focus on it. But I need somebody who knows my weakness, and that is her strength, to drag me along, so that my strength becomes my partner's weakness and my weakness becomes my partner. Together we make a change as a force. But if I'm just a singular person, even the United States alone cannot govern itself. No country is an island. Every country depends on the other country. Just as some are bigger than others, but in reality, no country is self-reliance. Every country collaborates with each other to solve their major need. So that's why you see major countries having embassies in your country. Why? Because they need certain things in your country. That's why your country embassies is also in that country, because they need a certain aspect from that country. So collaboration always leads to the potential results. Yeah.
Let me ask this question on behalf of the diaspora. What do you think the government, the leaders have to, change to make our brothers and sisters who are willing to come back home, come back home? Like the way you are talking about, taking money from them here and then. And what do you think the government have to do? Things that the government have to put in place for our brothers and sisters to come back. And our tourist side also, what do you think that they have to do for to minimize things for our brothers and sisters who are coming, who are willing to come back home, for them to also enjoy the continent?
That is a very interesting question, because as I said, the major issues we face on the continent, it's not even about the government, it's the behavior.
Wow.
So because guess what? I always see people saying we have corrupt leaders, but who put them in the first place? Who put them in those positions? It's you. You are the first point of corruption. So if you are corrupt, you're definitely going to put in corrupt people in there. But if you're not corrupt, then you stand for it, right? Don't complain. I always say when wise people or when stupid people come together to elect a leader to govern everybody, and then you think you are the wise, so you're not going to be there for the stupid people or elect your view. They are going to elect a stupid person to lead you. Sorry for my language, but that is it. So we need to understand that we add value to our government. Our government is who we are. Our government is what we do. Our government is our daily activity. However, we all can be at parliament. That is why there's representatives are there. So always have a constant dialogue with your leaders and your communities to understand their concerns and also address it. But on the issue of the diasporans, some of the things the government can also put in place is the citizenship program, right? Those that really want to come, those that are African descent. The United Nations have recognized the people of African descent. They have a major General Assembly in Geneva. Every year they meet and discuss their major concerns. People from the Caribbean, Latin America meet. And it was once chaired by Dr. Campbell, the former Vice President of Costa Rica, which we are even meeting in very soon to actually understand her perspective, how we can collaborate with the diasporans and the government of Ghana to address some of the challenges these diasporan people face. Because my focus is mostly on young people in the Caribbean and on the continent. How can we amplify their voices for their voice to be heard? Because the data are not looking friendly. Imagine having 50% of the global population being young people, yet only 2.5% of these young people's voice are represented in parliamentary affairs globally. Meaning that if you are to pick a whole year, 355 days, young people's voice globally will be heard in 10 days out of the entire year. That needs to change. We need more voice of young people to be represented in governance, in inclusion, in entrepreneurship, in support, so that we can build the right continent we want, the right world that we want. Other than that, it's going to be another talk, and talk again. But as I said, we are sitting on a time bomb, so our leaders need to start acting now in order to fix the problem that will come in the future.
Wow. Mr. Collins, you have really blessed us with wisdom. And our brothers and sisters, those who are watching this video, this is the time. He said, power is not giving, power is what? Taking. So what are you also doing for yourself and your community and the country as well? What's your last message for our people, the young ones, the chiefs, and the presidency, and our brothers and sisters, the diaspora? Your last word, final advice for them.
Just become productivity. Add value to your country in your own small way, because the minor results create the massive results. So once we all act, once we all focus on building the Africa we want, I know there are challenges, I know there are blockage, but it's about time that we act. Once we start acting than always talking, there's going to be a change. So my message to the young people, the dream you have, don't always talk about the dream. Start doing it. If I meet you, have you done it? If you have started, then that's why I know you deserve the support. But if you are just only talking about it, nobody's going to give you money for something you are just talking about it. You need to start it, and then when you reach a point where it requires people to come in, then that's where people will come in to support you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.